Why are young women often denied hysterectomies? Here's a legitimate reason. I had a vaginal hysterectomy, i.e., not an endoscopic, and regret it so much. The doctor assured me there were no risks involved. Yet here I am with urgent bladder syndrome, on medication for the rest of my life. My urologist told me 35% of women get bladder, urethra issues after hysterectomies. But the doctor who performed the surgery never mentioned this. There have not been nearly enough studies on the long-term effects of a hysterectomy at a young age, especially a total. I think we forget that the medical world is a bit behind on women's health. Anything that only affects women, or is even much more common in women, was not seriously studied until pretty recently. It was in the news a few months back that the first known count of clitoral nerve tissue was completed, literally last year. And that was only done to try and improve transgender reassignment surgeries. I had mine in the 90s at age 25. Stage 4 endo, PCOS, and my 6th surgery. Thank God none of the current BS was in play. It was the only option for me. Have you actually had one or more physicians refuse to give you a hysterectomy? If so, one reason may be that the insurance company or hospital has protocols, procedures, or other therapies that have to be followed prior to having a procedure. For example, if you have an injury, even though the MD may knows you will need a CT scan, they are frequently required to obtain an X-ray first. I see all the comments about misogyny, but isn't there increased health risks to having a hysterectomy young? Also, as someone with health issues and who worked in the medical field, you do have to exhaust all other options first. Medical insurance companies carry quite a bit of the responsibility here. They consider the risks of complication and any future litigation too high, and this makes the malpractice insurance for doctors who recommend and perform these operations significantly higher. One piece of advice. Ask the doc or whoever is taking notes to write down that you requested the surgery and the doctor's reason for declining. Too often, it just gets noted as discussed birth control, or patient reports ongoing PON, or other vague wording. Get it in specific writing why they are declining the surgery. Request a copy of your medical records. Go to a new doctor. Take your medical records and request the procedure again. If you're declined again, rinse and repeat until you find someone to listen to you. I had cervical cancer when I was 19. They cut out half my cervix and told me it was possible it could come back. To which I replied, then take it all out. I don't want kids and never have. I wanted a full hysterectomy but was denied because, you might change your mind one day. I was livid. Especially when the doctor told me that my cervix will either heal too close that if I got pregnant it'd have to have a C-section, or my cervix would heal to open and I wouldn't be able to carry full term. Here I am, 35 going on 36, and still don't want children. My mind has not changed. And I'm still told no. I'm too young. And still might change my mind. It's honestly mind-boggling. It's my body, my choice, right? I lost a dear female friend to severe endometriosis. Her cycles were pure hell for her. She didn't want to go on birth control because of all the problems her mother and sister had had with the pills. When she didn't show up for work and didn't answer her phone or knocks on her door, the police were called. They forced the door open. She had bled out in her bed. She was 22 years old. Another was convinced to go on BC and luckily found a type that eliminated the worst of her symptoms and gives her regular periods. Another young woman, after 3 miscarriages and terrible pain, was granted a hysterectomy at age 24. She still has her ovaries and has had no severe problems for 6 years now. I think doctors now are so afraid of lawsuits because of bad outcomes is the primary reason they avoid doing hysterectomies whenever possible. Too many people out there are too willing to sue doctors and medical facilities. Doctor here. Hysterectomies are major surgeries. Even the ones that are minimally invasive. Multiple complications can follow. The risk and benefit should be weighed for each patient. It ranges from increased risk of kidney cancer to small bowel obstruction to urogine issues to psychiatric, emotional issues, risks of infection, bleeding, injuries of your ureters, etc. But I do believe they should be more open to permit younger women. 2530. To get them. At 20, your prefrontal cortex is still developing and you can make some regretful decision. Which is your right to do. But it's just a matter of time some young girl sues a doctor for doing a HYST for birth control and then regrets it and blames it on lack of proper capacity to make such large and permanent decisions. Endometrial ablation. Everyone with a uterus needs to know about this procedure as well. It's tantamount to a form of amputation, and if there isn't a legitimate medical reason it would be hard for a doctor to justify. I think not wanting children wouldn't cut it. Also, having tubes tied is a much safer option. Having said that, severe endo is in my eyes a legitimate medical reason. I got a partial hysterectomy when I was 32. For the treatment of endometriosis. I only removed my tubes and got a uterine ablation. It worked out great. I didn't want to remove my uterus because I didn't want to have the same bladder problems as my mom. As per the age thing, it's hard. I was 32 with a child and a career taking off. And the doctor still fought me. I said it was also a mental health decision and a financial decision. Apparently he was convinced I was going to change my mind and want more children. He also asked my husband's opinion. My advice to fight against this is keep shopping for doctors until you get one who won't treat you as a baby factory. Ask a local women's group if anyone knows a doctor who will respect your autonomy. One of the reasons I have heard without proof is people suing doctors years later when they change their mind. A hysterectomy is major surgery. Even via laparoscopy, anesthesia has clinically significant risks. The risks of a hysterectomy is greater than the benefits for someone who doesn't need to get it removed, but want it so they can't have children. That's what people need to understand. There is a difference between hysterectomy and tubal ligation. Hysterectomy should be done when all other options are attempted, as surgery has risks and hormone replacement is never the same as natural. Tubal ligation is mostly permanent and should be given when the woman asks for any reason, not once a man's permission is given. Both are withheld from women for various barbaric and patriarchal reasons. It happens because we haven't found a way to properly organize and demand changes for women's healthcare. We instead are being divided by class, religion, politics, etc., and it keeps us under his eye. Hippocratic Oath. Do no harm. You can find a physician to do a reversible procedure, but you're not going to be able to find one to do a permanent one. Part of it is its non-reversible sterilization. That's a big decision and patient can potentially change their minds later. Part of it is its surgery. It's relatively common in people's minds now away. But the surgeon is literally cutting you open and removing something that can cause adhesions, infections, wound dehiscence, bowel perforation, vessel perforation, chronic pain syndrome, etc., etc. There are more risks to hysterectomy than just the surgery. You are more prone to things like prolapses due to loss of ligaments, I think, and the support of the organ itself, and losing that internal support so young means potentially you have a lot of years of prolapse problems with your bladder and bowel. The uterus also plays a part in sexual function. Some women report issues with climax following a hysterectomy. When you are young, it makes sense to try all the other options before resorting to hysterectomy, irrespective of whether you want children or not. If one pill doesn't suit you, try another. There are also options like coils, and if nothing else works, endometrial ablation. Hysterectomy, even with retention of the ovaries, should be an absolute last resort, especially in a young person. Young men are denied vasectomies all the time. I tried to get one when I was 21 and I was rejected.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.